Without knowing, my husband had recorded a video before he died. My son and his wife were already popping fresh juice at the will reading. My dill whispered, "You've got 24 hours, then you're out." That's when the notary stopped everything. "Wait. There's one more, a video. My name is Naluthando Mbeki. I am 51 years old. I was born in Durban and raised between South Africa and the United Kingdom. I work as a senior compliance director for an international logistics and shipping corporation. For nearly 3 decades my job has been to read between lines, trace hidden ownership, uncover quiet betrayals, and ensure rules are followed even when powerful people believe they are untouchable. I live with discipline and restraint. I dress with elegance, not noise. I speak softly but I listen deeply. People often assume I am gentle. They rarely realize I am prepared. I was married for 28 years to my husband Sipho Mbeki. Sipho was a respected property developer and infrastructure investor. He built estates, shopping centers, and logistics parks across multiple African countries. He believed wealth should be structured, not displayed. Power should be silent, not loud. Preparation was his language of love. I thought I knew him completely. I later understood I had only known the man he allowed the world to see. Sipho died suddenly from a cardiac arrest. There was no illness, no warning, no goodbye conversation. That morning he adjusted his cufflinks, kissed my forehead, and said he would see me in the evening. By sunset I was standing in a hospital corridor holding documents my hands barely recognized. I cried alone in the car before driving home. Grief does strange things to time. Everything slowed except betrayal, which arrived quickly. My son Thabo did not cry. My daughter-in-law Zanel did not cry. They hugged me politely, briefly, like people fulfilling a social obligation. During the funeral Zanel wore an expensive black dress and diamond earrings. She accepted condolences with ease, with confidence, like a woman already rehearsing the future she believed belonged to her. Thabo stood beside her quietly, letting her speak for him, answer for him, guide him. A mother notices when her child stops leading his own life. 3 weeks later we sat in the notary's office. Dark wood panels, African art on the walls, heavy silence. The kind of room where decisions echo long after voices stop. Thabo and Zanel sat together across from me. I sat alone. Beside them rested a silver ice bucket with fresh juice chilling inside. That detail stayed with me. It told me everything I needed to know. Before the notary began, Zanel leaned toward me and whispered softly, her voice calm and confident. "You have 24 hours, then you are out." She said it like a schedule reminder, not a threat. I looked at my son. He looked at the floor. The will reading began. Properties listed one by one. Companies named carefully. Accounts described in detail. Everything on paper went to Thabo. The house I lived in. The cars. The investment portfolios. Even the holiday lodge in Mpumalanga. Zanel opened the fresh juice and poured glasses before the notary finished speaking. They were already celebrating my removal. My chest tightened but my face did not change. Years of corporate crisis management had taught me that silence can be armor. Emotion reveals weakness. Stillness invites mistakes. Then the notary raised his hand. "Wait," he said. "There is one more instruction from Mr. Mbeki. A video recording." Zanel laughed lightly and said, "How dramatic." The lights dimmed. A screen lowered. Sipho appeared on the screen seated at his study desk, calm, composed, wearing the charcoal suit he reserved for serious negotiations. His voice was steady. "Naluthando, my wife. If you are seeing this, then I am gone. And if things seem unfair right now, understand that they are unfolding exactly as I planned." Zanel shifted in her seat. Sipho continued. "I love my wife. I trust her judgment completely. If this video is playing, then my son has already failed a test I set long before my death." Thabo stiffened. Sipho looked directly into the camera. "Thabo, you chose comfort over conscience. You allowed your wife to disrespect your mother. You remained silent when you should have stood firm. Leadership begins at home. You are not ready for it yet." Zanel stood up angrily and said, "This is manipulation. Saifo raised his finger on the screen. Sit down. She froze. Saifo continued. The will you just heard is the visible will. The real structure begins now. The notary opened a sealed file. Saifo explained that every property transferred to Tabo was held in layered trusts. Trusts registered under entities controlled solely by Naluthando Mbeki. The companies were never in Tabo's name. The accounts required Naluthando's biometric authorization. The house was protected by a legacy clause activated upon attempted eviction or disrespect. Zanel's face drained of color. Saifo said, Tabo, you and your wife will vacate my house within 48 hours. You will receive a monthly allowance administered by your mother. Any attempt to contest this arrangement results in complete disinheritance. Zanel screamed that it was illegal. The notary calmly explained the documents were drafted 12 years earlier, reviewed annually, and reinforced under international trust law. There was no weakness, no loophole, no appeal. I stood up slowly. My hands were steady. I looked at my son and asked one question. Did you know? He whispered yes. That moment ended my grief and began my clarity. I gave them 24 hours. Not because Zanel demanded it, but because I chose dignity over chaos. They left the house dragging suitcases, arguing, accusing, blaming each other. Zanel shouted that I had stolen her future. Tabo said nothing. 3 weeks later Zanel filed for divorce. She demanded compensation. She received none. 6 months later the lifestyle she flaunted online collapsed when I quietly withdrew financial backing from ventures Saifo had warned me about. Everything legal, everything silent. Tabo now lives in a modest flat. He works for a company that once answered to my office. He calls on holidays. Sometimes I answer. Sometimes I do not. I walk freely through my home now. Saifo's portrait hangs in the study. He did not plan revenge. He planned protection. I learned that silence is not weakness. Preparation is not cruelty. And justice does not need noise. Sometimes it waits patiently. Sometimes it arrives in sealed documents. And sometimes it plays quietly on a screen while fresh juice goes untouched in a glass no one ever finishes. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?